So now, Unconference, right? Only a little bit of time. I presume Terry might have a script for this, but the upshot is everybody's got a piece of paper in front of them and they've got a pencil. And so if you have an idea, what you need to do, an idea around sort of anything.
Discussion topic.
Yeah, a discussion topic. So you've got to write it down. It's got to be short and punchy, and you've got to write your name associated with it, because every idea has to be linked to a person. And then you need to pitch it. You need to come up, and then we're going to have people. Is this what you were intending, Terry?
Sort of.
Sort of. So the idea is there are certain problems that have been hanging around Federation space for a very long time, and you'll have some problems that you want other people to work with you on, right? Or you don't even know if it's a good idea. So, should it just die? So we've lamented the fact, is Met coming back? Met is entirely dead. Right. Right. So one of the things is everyone at some point in time has done a service catalog. So this is my pitch, Brooke, a real service catalog for identity federations. And the problem with any service catalog for identity federations is everyone thinks it's going to do something different for them, right? Everyone has a different opinion. It's like the story of, there's like these 4 blind men trying to describe an elephant by touching different parts of it, touching the trunk, touching the ivory tusks, touching the fluffy tail, all trying to describe it and not getting a full picture. And so a lot of the tools that we've ever made, including like the validation tools within Edugain, are very good for technical people, right? They're very good for you to see what's out there, and it's really awful for your researchers and your students to be able to find something that works with your federation. And maybe the Korean one is probably the best sort of. It's one of the better catalogs, but it's not extensive, because if you saw the what do you call it? If you saw the Edugain numbers before, 3,500 services out there, way too many, but not if we do something about classifying them. So I'm not interested in the services. I'll let someone else take that on. I'm very much interested in a metadata schema extension where we can put something like the raw ID of universities in the metadata so we know whether they're covered or not. So we'll actually have like this authoritative, this.
The system that identifies metadata.
Yeah, this is a different. Yeah. Like so there's the raw ID that exists, so you can really distinguish between all of the Royal Academies of Music, because the Swedish Royal Academy of Music has a different raw ID than the London one versus the what? Yeah, exactly. And or the one out of the Uni of Tasman doesn't have a royal decree. That have a royal building. I don't know. Anyway, but you've got all these things. So that's what I'm interested in, because I'd like to better assess penetration of federations. And so raw as a project doesn't map all of your universities, more than likely, because sometimes the information is in flux, but they're willing to update it. And so, yeah, that's my idea. I'll write it down. The next person that wants to come along, grab the microphone.
Or I can come to you. So, no, I've got a bunch of ideas from yesterday.
Okay.
So, and a few yours is one of these. And I've heard this a number of times from a number of federations. What's needed on campus to connect to your federation? Directory service, identity management stuff. So that sort of thing. The other one I heard was storage services for federations, particularly Bangladesh wanted some way to back up all their laptops and so forth to their thing. Open roaming / setup tool bed or test bed. I'm not sure what that's about. And then we've got Brooks org PIDs in metadata and the service catalog for Edugain. So have we got any other ideas or things we'd like to talk about?
Anyone has tested ADFS toolkit in the community by installing ADFS?
Okay, so the ADFS toolkit. Has ADFS got enough lifetime for that to happen? What's the life of ADFS?
it will not go away because some organizations within my part of the world doesn't trust cloud from a legal perspective, and Microsoft knows that.
Anybody else with an idea to talk about this afternoon? We've only got an hour to talk, so we can't choose all of them. We'll talk about all of them. Anyone? Nope. Okay, so
What are the ideas?
we have what's needed on campus to connect,
Okay.
storage services for federations, open roaming and set up test bed. That's an edge of roam type thing, I expect. So a test bed for the open roaming stuff rather than just edge of roam. A service catalog for edge again or for your local ID federation. Org PIDs in metadata, which is your raw stuff. And a discussion about ADFS toolkit. Is anyone doing anything with that in the Asia Pacific region? What you're after? Okay. So we have, how many that? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 topics.
So can I just say one thing?
Sure.
That may take ADFS toolkit out of the business here.
If you want us to talk about ADFS toolkit one way or another, we can also create a webinar because it's my guys that writes the toolkit. So I'm open for doing a webinar to your constituency here in Asia, so you can get information about it, how you use it, how you set up it. So that's totally okay for me.
You happy with that? That kills off one.
I've got one more.
I got one more too.
Okay. 2 more then.
So my extra one is future funding.
Sorry.
I got to fill
You've
you
got
first.
0 more because mine is exactly the same.
I beat you to it, buddy. So we got, as you're probably aware, the IFI X-Man funding runs out at this conference, I believe, or very soon after. But we haven't got enough to, well, it won't actually take you through to August, which is when the next one is. Yep. So there's not much cash left anyway, I wouldn't think, to get everyone to a thing anyway, is there? So you mean just pick somebody, one of your target nations, and have a site visit?
Yeah.
Would be interesting. So we've got that one as well. We need to find some funding. Brooke's busily turning over rocks and stuff to on that one.
So I've got this. This is the list.
Check. Yep, I think so.
And so do we want to go off in small groups for 20 minutes to see what people want to talk about? Move into corners?
I don't think we're big enough to do that. I thought we'd just pick 3 or 2, probably 2 to start with, and if we have time, we go a third one.
Yep.
Just to, in the room, have a discussion about one of these. So can we get that list put up on the board? That'll be by a show of hands. Which one we take on first, second, third, and fourth? We can have 2 votes each. Mac's broken.
Yeah, it's a beach balling. Why are you beach balling anyway? Anyway, hopefully people can see. I'll make this bigger as soon as my computer becomes responsive.
Right, so who'd like to talk about topic number one or have a discussion about topic number one, which is disappeared now? Here it is. What is needed for on campus to connect to your federation? So show of hands if you want that one. Remember, you only get 2 votes. So you're going to. Nobody's interested about connecting to on campus. Nope. What do you need your campuses to do to connect to your federation? Setting up an identity process, an identity management system, setting up a directory server, setting up ADFS, connecting to Azure. What's the minimum standard that you need? So if you want that one, put your hand up.
3, 4, 5 votes, 6 votes. That's lots.
So the second option to talk about is storage service, so federated storage service to offer to your institutions. Own cloud or Nextcloud or something like that, type of solutions and how you go about building that sort of thing, or discussion about that sort of option. So who's interested in storage for your federation? Sadly, the Bangladeshi folk don't seem to be here. Oh, here's he.
Oh, it's emerging.
All right. Okay, open roaming setup and test bed. A couple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 9.
Nice one. You don't know. You just say no.
Just woken up after lunch.
You just used to vote unexpectedly.
Okay, service catalog in Edugain and what happened to Met. I'm interested in that. Well, you only get 2 votes.
I can say that source catalog from everywhere, every time, for years and years and years.
It's been on the refeds
Yeah.
list. It's been in the top 3 for more than a decade.
Yeah,
Yep.
it will be, and there will be a write-up about that in the amount provided.
I mean, it's hard because
Anyway, we're not discussing it now.
anyway.
Shush. Org PIDs for metadata and RAWs and other things to be published in the in Edugain.
I support you.
No, don't support me.
No, I do support you. I don't support you, I support cause. Yes, cause.
2.5, okay. Have half a vote away. ADFS toolkit, I think we've wiped that because there's going to be now a webinar for that one. So that's, yep. And we need a way to publicize that through the Slack channels and email lists that we have. And future funding. Who's interested in coming again? You can have an extra vote if you want, but I'm fairly keen to come again.
No, because of where we have to go next. It's obviously an awful place. Because Deputy wasn't even voting in favour.
She gets a free ride to get to there. You don't have to fly or anything. Okay, what's number 1 there?
So it's definitely this one.
Open roaming test bed.
Top. Oh no, open roaming test bed. Scored best. Yep.
Okay, so who'd like to lead the conversation about the open roaming test bed? Because I have no idea what that's all about, so I'm happy to learn. And it's not just slides. We need to have room discussion and understanding what people's problems are.
I'll take notes.
All right. Okay, so the reason why I propose this topic is because we know that internet has been an essential service that we need on daily basis. In fact, not daily basis, every minute we may need internet access. So EduRoam has been working very well in the research and education domain or community. However, but how about in the it would be great if we could have federated Wi-Fi services, something like EduRoam, outside the EduRoam domain. Okay, so currently this actually the initiative has been quite long. Okay, but it's only probably pop up in the last 2-3 years. Is about open roaming. So in brief, open roaming is a global roaming federation service enabling automatic and secure Wi-Fi experience globally. Initially developed by Cisco, then transferred to WBA. So if EduRoam basically based on the .1x, the open roaming is based on the Passpoint and Hotspot 2.0 protocol or 11U. So it's a bit different in terms how does it works. Technically, it's a bit different, but for the user experience, more or less the same like EduRoam, where you just need to set up an account on your device or wherever you go to a place where there is an EduRoam broadcasting EduRoam SSID, then you can connect. However, in the Passpoint, there is no SSID. If there is any, it doesn't mean anything. Probably just for the branding purposes. So Passpoint is using a beacon called RCOI or Roaming Consortium Organization ID that broadcasted by the access point. Okay, there are several types of RCOI, but we more focus on the open roaming education ROI. There's a free settlement for education only, and also there is open roaming all, means that it's just free internet for everyone. Okay, EduRoam itself has its own RCOI, but in reality, probably only very few that implemented. In fact, still recommended using the not typical .1x. So this is how does it work. The access point will broadcast a beacon to all the devices, and then the device will make a query sending the ANPQ, Access Network Query Protocol, and then the access point will provide all the information that the node needs, like is it a free, what is the quality of the service, how much it charged, and so on. So if the client agree to connect, then it will send an EAP. So at the EAP part is actually the same, like almost the same like an EduRoam. Okay, so it will use EAP protocol, will send to the Radius server. When Radius server validate the credential, then it will go back, it will signal the access point. Then after that, the access point will provide the access to the device, then the device can access the internet. So, however, at the back end, if the typical EduRoam implementation is a mix between Radius and also RadSec protocol, but in the open roaming, it all based on the RadSec protocol. Okay, so, and then it implement dynamic peer discovery so that it can cut short the roads from the service provider. In the open roaming, so in the Passpoint, it called as ANP, Access Network Provider, to the identity provider. Okay, so it's a glimpse. So now how we can, so basically to enable this dynamic peer discovery, you need to add the NAPTER record that telling who is your identity provider or who is your NRO operators in your DNS record per realm. Okay, so if you have 3 realms, that means that you need to add 3 NAPTA record for each realm. Okay. So I will talk in detail what what NAPTA record that you need to add in your DNS. So now, since Edurom is a member of WBA and the operational team has been working tirelessly to allow Edurom users using their Edurom credential to access the open roaming network. Okay, so now how the Edurom users can access the open roaming network. So number one, the organization must agree with the open roaming terms and conditions, and then after that add the Edurom's open roaming proxy to the DNS as a NAPTA record for each realm. Okay, so if, for example, if you have like a the realm staff.university.edu and add student.university.edu, so you need to add for each realm, not only one. Okay, so and then you can add this record. So for Edurom, this is a sort of like a fix. This is the proxy, Edurom Otis proxy to the open roaming network. Okay. So this is an example. I use a software called Dig to find out what is the NAPTA record of my realm. So this is the entry. Okay. So I think this is the sort of like the entry for bind software, but you can adjust according to your DNS server software. Okay, then after that, you need to configure open roaming profile at the end user's device. So there's a requirement, the device must support passpoint. I think most of the newer device has supported passpoint.
Oh, like passport was 2011, wasn't it? I mean, it's been a long
Yeah, it's been long actually.
You know, the likelihood you've got a device that doesn't support this,
Probably if you are still using Windows 7.
getting security updates for a long time.
Yeah.
Passport.
Yeah, yeah, because I found out that even the Aruba AP that was released in 2012 or something is already has passpoint support. So and then you can use Edurom Cat to provision hotspot 2.0. Okay, there's a recent update into the Edurom Cat so that allow you to add more RCOI or configure the device for open roaming as well. And then the client, they can use the get Edurom plus Edurom Cat or get Edurom plus the Let's Wi-Fi portal, and it works best with EFTLS authentication. Okay. So to set up, these are what you need to do at your IDP site to allow your users to access the open roaming network. Okay. So now, how do you know that all the config that you did is correct? Okay, so you can set up your own open roaming testbed. So to do so, number one, you need access point with which support passpoint. Okay, and then uplink to open roaming. There are two options that you can do. Number one, use the Edurom open roaming, Edurom Otis operational teams open roaming proxy is open to Edurom SP or Edurom SP/IDP operator because most of the university are SP and IDP. Okay, but there are some only SP only. There are some only IDP. Okay, so either Edurom SP or SP/IDP, and then or alternatively, you can also get from any WBA members that provide free uplink to the open roaming. For example, from Iron Wi-Fi, they provide free uplink to the open roaming. So there are some sample configuration for different type of device that you use, such as Aruba and also Cisco. So it's quite lengthy for the Aruba OS. So for this Unconference session, I will show how to use MikroTik, but the display is not that clear. Anyway, so basically what you need to do is you need to set up radius server first. So in this example, I use uplink from Iron Wi-Fi. So after you register, you will get the IP address, the port number, and also the secret for authentication. And then after that, you need to set up the internetworking profile, which is the pass point. So here where you put the RCOI ID and some other config. Later I will share my slide so that it show clearer than in the screen. Okay. So after the internet working profile, then you need to set up for the Wi-Fi, the EAP. Okay, so sorry, for the WPA2/3 enterprise, the most crucial one is this one. The call ID format has to be SSID, otherwise it won't work. So and then after finally you can start broadcasting the network by selecting the internet working profile and also the security profile. Okay, then after that it will broadcast. You can put any SSID name that you like, it doesn't matter. So if you configure the device correctly after you set the pointer, the NAPter, then you should be able to connect to this network, open roaming network. Okay, so if you want to do some testing, my recommendation, use the one that from Iron Wi-Fi, for example. Okay, not promoting, it's just the reason is like this. So Iron Wi-Fi is totally outside the EDROM domain. Okay, so if it works, means that the likelihood that if you users found an open roaming network, they're able to use the ID. Okay, but if you would like to broadcast an open roaming for your campus for everyone to use the EDROM one. Okay, because we don't know in between what Iron Wi-Fi will do with all the traffic, right? So yeah, so yeah, campus what open roaming, yep, with open EDROM uplink, yes. But for your own testing, use the Iron Wi-Fi.
Because you don't know if you're in the echo chamber.
Yes, exactly. Yep,
Bedroom routing.
it's still inside. Yeah, yeah. Because how does it work? Is goes to the RedSec proxy, then forward back. Is within inside.
This is the setup on your little device. Right?
Yeah.
So could you also connect if Hideaki made a city roaming endpoint available?
Yep.
City roaming infrastructure.
Yes, I think because he also broadcast the open roaming free settlement RCOI. Yeah, you can connect.
Would the testbed make sense to work with Hideaki and turn city roaming into a like the other thing is like the extension to that is
whether we can ask free uplink of city roam.
Yeah, and should we make city roaming the
testbed
wider community network? So if different federation operators at NRNs are talking to city service, say City of Colombo wants to have
exactly
wants to have open roaming in addition to edge roam.
Yep.
They should do that actually by Hideaki. Roaming
Yep, correct.
That would be, but we don't. I mean, I know Hideaki's promoted that, but I'm not sure how.
It's the same. Basically, you just need to set up pass point, become WBA member. So you got your own.
WBA member. He already is.
Yeah.
So you suggest
unless if we sit under the city roam Japan.
But why wouldn't we do that?
I don't know. Or maybe because at least you need to pay like what 12,000 ringgit. How many? $4,000 for to become WBA member annually.
But Hideaki already
he paid
for his research project. So
yeah.
we should work out whether we could make that.
Or if you just need open roaming uplink, go use the eduroams one. Because what I heard from Paul,
Yeah.
so he's working on some basically he's trying to make the EduPKI certificate accepted by the open roaming. In that case, you can connect directly to the open roaming using EduPKI certificate. So you don't need the eduroam proxy anymore.
Proxy.
Yeah. The only reason at the moment why you cannot go directly is because you don't have the certificate.
Then isn't there also an earlier question until that happens?
Mhm.
Should we run an open roaming proxy in Asia? Should we work with Paul to
I
deploy
asked
an
that
open
question
roaming-
to Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, not Asia. I asked, am I permitted to set up another like open roaming proxy for Malaysia, but so that all the user, I mean, if the university would like to broadcast open roaming, they don't have to bother Paul. You just need to bother me, right? So he said, why not? So we set up one in Malaysia, but so far we haven't connected that yet to any university that would like to broadcast. So yeah, you can. All right. So this is some reference that I put how you can get the Iron Wi-Fi open roaming uplink, the instruction how to set up, and this is ADROM wiki page that talk about enabling roaming using roaming at open roaming using ADROM credential, and this is the Hideaki's project, the City Roam project. Okay. Any question or somebody want to add something?
Interesting others to
Mm-hmm.
get involved with it.
Yeah.
I think Andre is interested because he's very close with the state government.
The one that we actually not promise them, but
Mm.
the scenario that we provide to the government municipals actually they could have something like GovRoam as well. I mean, they already have some. I mean, the work that they have been doing right now is actually based on eduroam. So we kind of like being the consultant for those people, right? And my premise was that once we have these open roaming things to happen, then you can just simply go to the uni, and people from uni also can go to the government as well. But the most important part about the city roam is actually something like this. Due to the ego of each government municipals, they want to broadcast their own SSID, right? Yeah. That's the thing that why I'm quite interested with this one, because say for example, one district they want to broadcast SSID A, other district want to broadcast SSID B. This is the the best solutions that okay, you can keep your ego, you still have your own SSID.
As long as you broadcast the same RCOI.
That's the thing. But then another problem is coming that you did mention that to have something like this, it's better if you have the eduroam cat.
For onboarding.
But for the government, what will be the alternatives?
Okay. So in the WBA, that's called OSU. Yeah.
I've never seen
Online sign up. Yeah.
I've never seen a inbound sign up.
Yeah. I've seen. More or less like less Wi-Fi portal. So you can, but if okay, this is the thing. eduroam is I mean, in the open roaming network, is basically is like one big IDP, open roaming IDP. Okay, so in order to create your own IDP in the open roaming, you need to become WBA member. Okay, that is the problem. So for the online sign up, in fact, Hideaki share his code to create like an online sign up that will create the EFTLS that added your RCOI, and install in your device. They call OSU, online sign up. You can have that. But the issue is how to get your IDP, reduce IDP into the open roaming. That is the issue. So if the government willing to pay,
somehow it's kind of like localized. So
yeah,
roaming
yeah.
rather than the global open roaming. So
Well, yeah. If you don't want to do like only localized, but we don't call it open roaming, then we call it just pass point. Possible.
So, the online sign up,
Uh-huh.
the use case is you don't have Edge your own, and
You don't.
and you don't have.
It's just a normal citizen.
So you turn up in a city,
Mm-hmm.
like I turn up in Yogyakarta.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Edge your own.
Mm-hmm.
I notice that there's a city Wi-Fi
Mm-hmm.
SSID,
Mm-hmm.
but it's locked, presumably.
Yeah.
But I can click on it, but it supports OSU. So it does something to trigger.
There are there are two examples that I have seen.
Right.
Number one, the operator create an apps that has a built-in OSU. For example, Cisco Open Roaming apps. You can just install the apps. Okay, it will ask you whether you want to log in using Apple ID or Google. Okay, so it will generate profile, inject.
Beforehand anyway. You need to
Yeah. So that's one thing. That's number one. Number two, just a normal website. You go to that website. Again, log in with something. It will generate and push. Yeah.
It's my premise was something like this long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the 5G. Right? Why do I bother to connect with this Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
So like for example,
Mm.
6, 7, 8 years ago, whenever I went to a cafe, sometimes I would ask,
What's the password?
it's no longer the case. I have plenty of mobile data.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Locally.
Oh, if you are foreigner, it's another story.
The expectation, I spoke to the people from the government. The expectation was they do have the bandwidth, and they got scrutinized by the one that inspect the budget and everything else. Okay, you subscribe this much bandwidth, but why your utilization is so low? So next year we will reduce the budget for you. And they don't want to have something like that, right? So they want basically to maximize the bandwidth. And they want to create this kind of Wi-Fi gates, but they do not want to have it like really open Wi-Fi. They want to identify who is actually using the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what CityRoam do. So they have I think several
But to have
profile. Yeah.
site beforehand, Wi-Fi, please sign up, and then you'll compete with the 4G connectivity.
Yes and no. I mean, for example, like in CityRoam, there's a entity or something. So you can use eSIM using the SIM card embedded in the SIM card to log in. Yes. Yeah. But okay, just to share, right? If you go to Indonesia, all right, number one, if your phone purchase outside the country, you need to make a report. So if the price is below $500, they will allow you to use local SIM card. If more, you need to pay taxes. But if you're a foreigner, you can keep your device, use the purchase local SIM, but only like 3 months, 90 days. Okay, I've been through that, but now my phone is already whitelisted. So yeah, that's the thing. I mean, for the local, yes, you can, because some operator they just use eSIM.
So the telco is you're paying the money whether you use the data or not. So that keeps them happy. You're paying for the subscription anyway. If you've got, if you bought a 50 gig plan for the month and you use 10 gig, you're still paying the price because you're paying for the time where you're away from Wi-Fi. So obviously for students and staff, we can use this to make it super simple so they've always got all of their devices configured. So they're always going to be using Wi-Fi whenever it's available.
Or at home, I have my share. because manually set up the concept of this so-called roaming or basically the password. So we want to the free Wi-Fi that is set up by the municipal can be used in the edge room and also and use the Wi-Fi as well. So even like people from abroad can come to because Jakarta, specifically my city, is the second destination of the world for tourism. So we expect that a lot of foreigner actually come to Sydney.
Exactly. Yeah, like yesterday, I had a long discussion with Suhaimi until I. All right, so basically, why we need open roaming? Okay, so I told him, you see, the problem is like this: if you go to the airport, the security is just using captive portal. Okay, the problem is that from your phone, from your device to the access point is not encryption because it's just open. Okay, and if you go to some restaurant in Malaysia, sometimes they just put, okay, this is free Wi-Fi, this is the password. I told him it's better that than the captive portal in the airport. Why? At least from your devices to the access point is encrypted. Of course, because the secret is not longer secret, then it's another story. So with the open roaming, yes, you give free internet. That's it. All right, nothing. But because of the pass point, it enhances the security, so you get a free internet and also secure connection. That's the idea. And then if you want to know who assassin, okay, don't ask that one because basically just give internet, no question asked. Further question asked. My time is up. All right. Okay, I will share.
The bonus of anything else other than captive portal or password on a wall is they can't do VLAN allocation.
Yep.
Right? So
Do much more. And what the enterprise can do, it can do. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
And citizens
from the infrastructure provider, that means the organizations, that's okay. But in some of the user that's going to use the Wi-Fi itself, it's a bit hassle. I know
But I think if the user just want internet, I don't.
Okay, so what is needed on campus to connect? Was this Terry's? Right. So who is going to start the discussion on who? 6 people were most interested, so I hope. Did you reset your clock? Okay.
So what's needed on campus? I've heard stories this week that universities don't have directory servers, they don't have identity management systems, they don't have single sign-on. So I'd like to go around the room, if I could, to see what you think your current university's situation is with regard to those 3 things. Identity management, directory servers to support and to be populated by identity management with all the credentials and passwords, and then single sign-on. So who'd like just to go first to give us a couple of minutes about what they think their institutions are doing in that space? Anyone? I can start with Australia. They're doing it all. We've been doing it for so long, it's just become second nature to everybody. But we've all got identity management systems, and they cost a fortune. We generally, Australian universities buy in things like, I can't remember what it is, Microsoft's FIM or something like that. There's other options they get, and it's all very automated. There's lots of tooling around it. There's a lot of setup costs, a lot of effort to run that stuff. A lot of universities then have a single sign-on situation with Azure or Okta. Again, that's a purchased piece of software. Some are still using Shibboleth as their single sign-on. And what was the other thing? Single sign-on, identity management, and a directory service. So they've got Azure or Okta, which both provides the directory service and the single sign-on capability. And most of those have moved all of their applications to sit under that, so the user experience is very seamless. They've got one username, one password, one multi-factor to access everything, including Federation. So I think that's where you guys want to be, but I think the universities need a bit of effort to get them there. So I'm going to just throw this microphone at Depsy. Because you've got a lot of identity providers in your federation.
Okay.
You've got them connected. How are you finding it to connect to those universities? How difficult are they finding it to connect? Are they using that single sign-on in their university?
Can you repeat that?
So you've got a lot of universities running Shibboleth.
Yeah.
What's underpinning that? They've got a directory server.
LDAP.
So which LDAP?
Open LDAP.
So most of them using Open LDAP?
Almost all, like 1 or 2 are using ADs.
Yep. And of those, are they then using the Shibboleth?
Shibboleth, yeah.
To connect to the Federation?
Yeah, Federation.
Right. Are they also using that to sit in front of their own services? Are they doing single sign-on?
They are doing single sign-on, but the case is like currently the staff using that service, not students.
So it's not a complete solution for everybody.
No.
Is there much multi-factor authentication happening?
In our federation, yes. The case is like the requirements of the students are kind of different sometimes with the institute to institute. Also, sometimes actually it's we have our policies, cause if they are gonna be a member, like to join to our federation, they should be a learn member. They should be a learn member, and also to be a learn member, they should be like UGC under UGC funding or half funding or something. And there's some policy like that. So actually, sometimes like the one problem, I mean, once I met some guy. I think he's from a private institute, and the base campus is in US, and they had eduroam there. And also he asked me what can we do about that, because like they wanted to have eduroam, and actually what I told that we can provide the eduroam service, because the base campus is providing the eduroam services and all. And it's just an example in Sri Lanka, I mean. So partly he wanted to be an learn member, but the case is they are not a UGC recognized university or institute. So kind of those kind of problems are there when they are joining to federations. I mean, Leah Federation. And the other thing is like when you
just on that point,
yeah.
Sounds like there's a problem with your policies.
Yeah, policies. And the other thing was like actually I told what the reasons like they couldn't get, actually they can't get the learn membership, no, but they could set up the eduroam, because we were willing to help them. But the other cases, they were not responding anymore. Like I tried to contact with them, and there was no positive vibes from them. So we thought that they won't need anything, because like they couldn't get some servers, I guess, because in Sri Lanka they are maintaining their own eduroam servers, like free radius servers, and also IDPs. So actually, since they are not a learn member, so we can't give our servers and do the job for them. Otherwise we could have. And as a federation, other problem, like when talking about the problems, the resource persons there. That's why we are having so much workshops, and we always try to give the support. We always give, but the case is sometimes people get resigned from their posts and all. So we always ask them to keep a manual, but sometimes they don't. And recently I met some lady, the one who was maintaining the federation services. He resigned recently, but he didn't have a manual. So that kind of things are there. That's it's a human nature, no? So and also to recall that about the resource persons, there are some lack of resource persons as people are leaving the institutes and all. So to that we are trying as much as we can, we organize workshops, and even that coming workshop we try to do all the things YSML and EduID, EduROM, and maybe EduROM, yeah. And even about LIAF, also we are gonna do manual installation of IDPs again, and also the one UN I got that automated installer. It's the combination of your install and Waka's installation installer, and we are gonna do that also, because although they are gonna be new people, yeah. Yeah, this one.
What do you find when you get a new university coming to join?
Yeah, currently some not main universities, because all the main universities are members there.
We're going past that stage.
Yeah, and there are few new members. I think they have become members recently. So some of called me, contact me and asked how to ask about the workshop, because we circulate the message to them, because there will be around 60 people there, and they will install the new version of IDPs and connect to our federation. But we are not expected lot, cause of that our policy, because it's kind of hard to become a learn member in Sri Lanka because of that UGC funded thing and all.
Yeah.
And
Occasionally various other federations with a very restrictive policy,
yeah,
and it can stifle some folk.
yeah.
Thailand, the back there, Heidi. How's your university sector or your universities with identity management, directory servers, single sign-on? You have any idea of how well they've progressed down those three paths?
You mean how the process that the university joined the IDF?
Yeah, so do your universities have an identity management system?
Yep.
Do they have directory services?
Mm.
Do they have on-site single sign-on?
We have identity management, but I think we don't have the single sign-on yet.
So there's a lot of services. Each user gets an individual username, password to connect to each
Yep.
individual university.
Yep. Yeah.
But they have a directory that.
Yeah, they have a directory.
Same sign-on.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a pretty good place to be, because they've actually got some of the infrastructure in place to make it happen. And it makes it easier to connect to the federation.
Yep.
Because talking to the Bangladesh guy yesterday or Monday, one of them, he said they get, here's our CSV file of all our users to connect to the federation.
No.
That's not going to really work or be sustainable.
Yeah.
So you're in a comfortable position to help your universities move forward once they understand federation?
Yeah, actually, my college, they are like helped the university to join the federations. Yeah.
So in case of Pakistan, the universities have their own active directories. Most of the universities have their active directories. But what I've seen that they are using multiple databases as well. So they are running active directory for the Wi-Fi authentication and some local application. But at the same time, they are managing Office 365 tenant and their users as well. So there is no concept that there is one ID and that can run on all the services. So there is no concept of single sign-on right now. Most of them are using LDAP authentication or Active Directory, the old previous authentication. There is no SAML-based authentication currently. Yes, yes.
I sometimes call it consistent sign-on, so it doesn't have the same acronym.
Yes,
I mean, that's a good start. It's a good start, but you're doing man middle tax in effect.
Mm.
And so it's hard for people to differentiate if their password works on every website.
Yes.
The websites that are capturing your password, but like someone in the School of Computer Science, right?
Yes.
Should be well versed.
Exactly the same situation in Bangladesh.
These are the ones I want to hear about. The ones that are really
Same situation, in exactly the same situation. Actually, they are not using any single sign-on in a single platform, and basically they are using Radius service or Radius server for authenticating Wi-Fi, and who deployed ADROM.
But what does
So
the Radius service use to authenticate against?
authenticating against Wi-Fi, who have not
Where are
ADROM.
usernames and passwords held?
Sorry, Wi-Fi keys, but there because Wi-Fi controller is connected with Radius server, exactly same as ADROM.
But the Radius server needs to be then connected to some store of usernames and passwords.
But they are for that case they are using the separate Active Directory. Actually, they are not in a planned way. Actually, they are scattered.
So it could be Active Directory, it could be a database.
Could be database, could be a Gmail account for emailing.
So it's all over the place.
Scattered place.
So it makes it really hard because you've got to do a lot of work at the university level to
Yes.
understand that they need
A single sign-on. But I believe if they get this single sign-on identity federation in their own hand, then they will get super benefit from this platform. But right now they're not realizing what is going on in identity federation. So to deploy this identity federation among all universities, at first we need to make any campaign type or workshop for them to let their understand what is actually identity federation and what is the benefit actually.
Give them a set of steps that they need to follow to get to the federation.
Sorry,
So give them a plan on how to get to the federation.
actually right now our Tiger Fed has no active member.
Yeah.
That's the main issue. And
Other than
our
BD rank.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm ready.
And can I go back? Are you saying that websites capture username and password, but do the authentication via Radius? They pass it on to a Radius server.
For website, they're not using Radius. For Wi-Fi controller, they're using Radius, or for
but I mean,
emailing.
for web pages, so let's say you've got a wiki or you've got an instance of Moodle or some learning management system and the like. Oh, so it goes back to Active Directory.
Yes,
So
Active Directory, and
I just thought because there are some instances.
and they're using a separate sign-on or Active Directory for separate platform, and every platform has their own. Suppose I have 3 service, so I have 3 credentials individually.
Oh, so they don't go to the same Active Directory. They might go to 3 different.
Suppose I have an email address for Gmail.
That means you don't have any LDAP.
Yes, they don't have any LDAP.
That's why my approach is by having an intra-federations within the university. It helps them to understand the concept of the federations very well. So that's why the showcase that I showed to them is, okay, this is how my jacket looks like, right? So I have these Moodle services over here. I have the Gmail services over here. I have the Office 365 over here. I add the metadata and so on and so forth. So it's basically just normal thing to do. And then, oh, okay, this is actually nice, right? So even like the third party software developer, so my university, sometimes some department, they just want to have their own software, right? So they hire third party developer to use that. That's why once the university understand the situations that actually, okay, this is like a first milestone of getting into the federation, that is actually even within the university itself, you understand the concept of the federation is all about.
I think you need to have a guinea pig university. Pick any of them. Pick a university.
And our CEOs are already planned that one of our previous
work with you closely to join the federation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been 10 years to get to where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we had a meeting, I don't know what you are promoting, but sounds good. Okay. But sounds good. So can you try in our university? Okay, we set up the make it proper, then they understand, and this start influencing others. Yeah, yeah.
the university is interesting with integrating journal access. You know already, I think, publishers. But if we integrate those publishers with our identity federation, then this would be a lucrative offer to them that through our identity federation you can access your publisher, but that is maybe problem for pricing. I think already CEO sir talked with him about this publishers.
Publishers are free, but
Yes, it's not free.
And you never get cheaper pricing because you can get more users to go there, right? One of the things I always do, like this is just KAUST, so this has got to be one of the richest universities on the planet, and I just searched in Google site:/KAUST edu.sa and login, and I get 10,000 results, so they're obviously all not unique, but if you just have a look at the web pages, these are legit login pages, right, for a very big university, which how, like, one of the things is, how do you know they're so different? So how do you know which ones are legitimate and which ones are not? And so you can do this with some of your institutions. Go through this process. I would always do this and then ask people, put them on a slide deck, and ask people to pick the fake one, right? But they're not fake. They're all legit. But then your IT services probably has a help desk thingy about, checking for phishing, but it's really hard, right? You got, and I open more and more tabs in another browser, right? They keep looking different and they keep looking legit. And it's like, so people are just going to type their email username. They're going to type anything into these things all the time, whether they're Outlook accounts, Gmail, different accounts within KAUST or whatever. And so you want to, this is the thing Terry talked about before. The attack surface at this institution is huge because not all of these pages are secured as well as the others, right? And if you've got hundreds of different applications, you've got hundreds of different points of attack. And so that's what you need to convey to your campus. And you need to try and convince just one campus to make the move and present at your events. And then, because it will solve their help desk problems, because someone will want to log into this, right? And they'll say, I can't log into this. And it's like, oh no, it's because you haven't completed something in the enrollment system as a visiting student. Right? Well, I don't know that. It doesn't make sense. Right? Yeah.
The officers from the university I held to convince the IT at your side that before and after. Okay, so yeah, I mean I agree with Andre actually, like doing internal, because for example I don't remember whether I told this. In my previous university, each school or faculty has their own Moodle. Okay, it's not one for all, but each one got one. Okay, but sometimes the student has to be like crossing the school. For example, medical student need to take biostatistic, which is offered by my school. So the lecturer, I don't want to create another course in their Moodle. I don't want to maintain so many courses page in Moodle. So at that time, I was the director of IT. So okay, we enable single sign-on. Okay, so basically the student, regardless where they want to go in, they will just use Shibboleth login to enter whichever. So, and then it's a huge relief for the IT, means we only need to create the account once. After that, it's auto provisioning in the system, and the information is consistent among all the application because it's sent through the front channel. We discourage back channel, means that you pull the information directly from the user database. No, we discourage that, because what happens is there is a university, the backend is messy, but after I go through the proxy, we tidy up using some script and so on, and come up is looks beautiful, tidy, right? So use front channel, don't use back channel. So that we did before. But try to, in regards to the directory service, try to create what we call single point of truth. Okay, set one, the trustable one, delete or eliminate the others. Okay, don't trust, it means only one. So once it eliminated, consolidated into one, then everything much easier.
Do you remember any history of Swedish Federation way back?
So the simplest for me is taking my old university from that time. That was about 1999. We started to use CAS just to do that, to make it easy for users to handle logins, to make it easy for our security people to discourage putting your username and password wherever. And furthermore, easy for us ourselves. We don't need to create 15, 20, 35 accounts and continue to do password resets on them all the time. That was CAS. We used LDAP in the background, of course, Open LDAP in that time. It's the same story in every university and university college in Sweden. Exactly the same story. Then we found one service that was nationally, that was a national admission system that started the whole system of using my account at my university to log into a national service. And that started the thoughts about federations. That's a very fast one.
About the same time frame, back in the late 90s, we had the same situation you guys are having now. Many services, many usernames, passwords, no consistency. And we went down directory services. We built our own single sign-on-y stuff. It was crap, but it worked. Until Shibboleth came along, and then we started to move into Shibboleth and Federation. Then we started seeing Active Directory and other things provide a single sign-on that we were after. That's time for that one. But one thing that I thought came out of that is look for a university to be an exemplar and take them through the journey first, hold their hand all the way, and then promote them and say, here's what these guys have done, and they are loving it. You can do exactly the same. Sorry?
When I was in the UK, I got colleges to do it, and then was trying to get the Uni of Plymouth. And the IT director said, if all of these expletive whole colleges can do this, then we should be able to as well. So I presume when you're picking an exemplar, don't pick the best uni in your country, because everyone will say, well, they've got all of the resources, of course they can do it, right? But you know, we were getting in the UK at that point in time, getting colleges to do federated identity, and the Uni of Plymouth, you know, is the big uni in that county, and it's like, well, wait a minute, if they can do it, you know, surely we can.
And we did it the totally other way around, because there are two big universities in Sweden that are the ones. We got them doing it. Then everyone want to go the same way. So depending on what your culture is, the way you choose forward, you need to figure that out. It's always about culture, nothing else. Find what works best in your country, go that way.